Hi guys, my name is Emma Ainsworth, and I will be talking about Chapter 11, which is on functionalism for this presentation. So, what exactly is functionalism? It is a combination of science, a concern for practicality, and emphasis on the individual, and also evolutionary theory. So, there is a wanting to understand the function of the mind rather than provide a static description of its contents. There is an interest in the why of mental processes and behavior led directly to concern with motivation. Also, there is a ideographic uh, for functionalism, or more ideographic, which is what made individuals different from each other. And in functionalism, they wanted psychology to be a more practical science, not a pure science, and they sought to apply their findings to the improvement of personal life, education, industry, and so on. So I will now transition into talking about the first individual who is considered to have built the foundation for functionalism. And his name is William James. He was around from 1842 to 1910. His first idea was the stream of consciousness. So he believed consciousness is personal, which reflects experiences of the individual. Consciousness is continuous and cannot be divided for analysis. Consciousness is always changing. Consciousness is selective, so some events entering our consciousness are selected for further consideration while others are inhibited. James also believed consciousness is functional, so this aided the individual in adapting to their environment. He also believed in habit and instinct. So he believed animal and human behavior is governed by instinct. So habits are new instinct-like patterns of behavior which develop within the lifetime of the organism. He also had his idea on the self or the empirical self, which is also known as me, which consists of everything that a person could call his or her own. Self-esteem, he was one of the first people to look into and examine circumstances under which people have feel good or bad about themselves. So I included on the right a little picture. What matters most is how you feel about yourself. So that's the self-esteem. And he determined self-esteem by dividing success divided over pretensions. He also believed in pragmatism, which was the cornerstone of functionalism. So this is any thought, belief, or behavior that must be judged by its consequences. Transitioning to the next person, I have Robert Sessions Woodworth, another functionalist from 1869 to 1962. He was the president of the American Psychological Association, or APA, in 1914. Robert Woodworth was the first recipient of the gold medal presented by the American Psychological Foundation in 1956. He was interested in what people do and why they do it. So he was primarily interested in motivation, therefore they called his branch of psychology dynamic psychology. So Woodworth decided on the symbols SOR, which is stimulus organism response, which is pretty much an add-on to SR, which is stimulus response, but he added on the O, so the organism. So he wanted to designate his theory to emphasize the importance of the organism, whereas the SR does not really say anything about the organism. He talked about the mechanism, which is the way an organism interacts with the environment to satisfy a need. So these mechanisms or adaptive behavior patterns remain dormant unless activated by need or drive of some type. The next person I'm talking about is Edward Lee Thorndike from 1874 to 1949. I remember Edward Thorndike from my Intro to Psych class. I'm sure many of you remember him too. He was very interested in James' ideas and principles. So from like when he took one of James's classes and he became good friends with him. One of his first research ideas was the on the theory of the mind, and this is how children make deductions about the beliefs of others. So his most popular research was his puzzle box. Thorndike's puzzle box was a trial and error learning. So he arranged the puzzle box so that if the animal performed a certain response, the door opened and the animal was allowed to escape. In addition, the animal received a reward such as a piece of fish. So to my right on the screen, there is his puzzle box. I found this on the internet. There were a lot of other ones similar. So in the middle of the box, there is an opening, and you can see like the little, I don't, like little things that would open it. So, and I'm pretty sure here there's either a lever of some sort or something along the lines of that, where the animal, and I know specifically he used cats a lot for the puzzle box. So the cat, it would press the lever or do whatever it needed to do to find its way out of the box, and then he would then give them a fish for getting out. And then he concluded that learning is incremental. So it's little by little, not just all at once. So the cat eventually learned just by doing it over and over that, oh yeah, like this lever or whatever is how I'm gonna get out. It didn't just happen like, oh, it just didn't instantly hit that, oh yeah, this is how I can get out of this box. He learned, or the cat learned over time. A learning occurs automatically, not mediated by thinking. So, like wanting to get out, that was just an automatic like behavior. The cat just wanted to get out. It wasn't like, oh, like why am I in this box? Or like I need to get out of here. Like it was just like automatic. And lastly, humans learn in the same manner as all other mammals. So by using a cat, Thorndike was able to generalize and say, okay, well, like humans can too. Like by looking at humans, he was able to determine like we all have the same ways of learning. Thorndike believed that sense percep impressions and responses are connected by neural bonds, and he believed that the probability of a response being made in the presence of a particular sensory event or stimulus is determined by the strength of the neural connection between the stimulus and the response. Continuing on, Thorndike's concern was not with how ideas become associated, but with how neural connections or bonds between sensory impressions and responses change their strength as a function of experience. Therefore, this theory of Thorndike's is often called connectionism. And then he has a few other like laws. On this page, I have two. So the law of exercise, which is broken further into two pieces. So the first is the law of use. The more often an association or neural connection is practiced, the stronger it becomes. And then, similarly, the law of disuse, the longer an association remains unused, the weaker it becomes. So, simplifying it, taken together, the laws of use and disuse stated that we learn by doing and forget by not doing it. The next law is the law of effect. So if an association is followed by a satisfying state of affairs, it will be strengthened. And if it is followed by an annoying state of affairs, it will be weakened. So to simplify it, reinforcement strengthens behavior, whereas punishment weakens it. And then I also have the transfer of training for Thorndike. This is the extent to which information learned in one situation will be transferred to another situation, or is determined by the similarity between the two situations. And then if two situations are the same, the information learned in one will transfer completely to the other. However, if there's no similarity between two situations, information learned in one will be of no value in the other. I included a cute little meme on the right, uh, just to tie back to the puzzle box because it was such an important concept for Thorndike, and also they kind of like inspired the other, like the laws in the transfer of training. So cat's ready to receive fish from Edward Thorndike once the lever is pulled. It's beautiful. I included my works cited, which was our textbook, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I and hoped you learned a lot. I did while making this, so thank you.